Okay, so tonight's homework is Author's Purpose by video 5.3. At the end of this presentation, you'll understand the three main reasons an author will write something and how to point out examples from the text that help support it. Please remember to look for the pencil to take your notes, and let's get started. So one of the first of the three author's purpose ideas that we're looking at is to entertain. So the idea here is that the author is trying to entertain the reader in some way. They're using a lot of description, they're using a lot of interactions to convey emotions and entertain the reader. While the author might try to persuade or even inform you, they're doing it in an entertaining way, so you're still trying to prove that it's all about the entertainment. The second style of author's purpose that we're going to talk about is to persuade. So the author is trying to persuade the reader to think about their point of view on a specific topic. They should be using a lot of facts and maybe some opinions to support their specific point of view and argument. The third style is to inform. So the author is trying to inform the reader on a specific topic. They'll use facts, maybe even the opinions of an expert to support the info that they're trying to give to the reader. So some people will use the term easy as pie to explain author's purpose, and I probably should have put the slides in that order, but easy as pie just means the acronym PIE, pie, to persuade, to inform, and to entertain. So that's a good way to think about it. What are the three styles of author's purpose? Persuade, inform, entertain, easy as pie. Something to think about are the combinations that you might see when you're reading something. So keep in mind that some written pieces might have a combination of persuasion and entertainment or information mixed together. So for example, a writer could have a really meaningful story and a persuasive piece to try and sway your opinion and appeal to you emotionally. For example, I once had a group, and this isn't a written piece. Actually, they did write about it in their essay. But I remember it more from their group debate that they did in class. Their topic was to ban the sale of cigarettes. And during the closing statement, they were talking, I think it was the closing statement. Anywho, they were talking about how their grandmother recently passed away from lung cancer. And it was even though they were trying to be super persuasive about banning the sale of cigarettes, that really meaningful story was very helpful in being persuasive. So there could be a combination in that way. So what you really need to think about when you see and you're getting a little bit confused, take a step back, look at the reading as a whole, look at the passage as a whole. What is the message that the author is trying to communicate as a whole, instead of that one little section where they tell that like meaningful story. So take a step back, take a look at it as one whole written piece. All right, now, in the proficiency, you have to explain. Once you figure out the author's purpose, you have to actually explain yourself. So, one thing to think about, be specific. Don't just say, the purpose is to entertain. You need to go beyond that. So think the who, what, and the why. Take two. All right, examples of explanation. Okay. So in your proficiency, you're going to have to actually explain your thinking and why you're doing what you're doing. We're looking at both author's purpose and point of view, so it's really important that you have a couple of sentences for author's purpose, and then the bulk of your paragraph is probably going to be more on point of view. So what does that actually look like? Well, if you're looking at an example that's looking at entertainment, you might write something like this. The purpose of the passage is to entertain the reader by being incredibly descriptive of what it feels like to open presents on your birthday in the middle of a surprise party with all your favorite friends and family members. The author thinks it's entertaining to throw surprise parties for birthdays and believes the reader will agree. So it's two really good sentences that explain your thinking on why the author's purpose is to entertain. If you're looking at something like persuade, here's an example. The purpose of the passage is to persuade Americans to write to their congressmen to support the writing of laws to slow the advancement of climate change. The author thinks it's important to persuade readers into action on climate change. Or to inform. The purpose of the passage is to inform students about the importance of eating a quality meal and getting a good amount of rest before a big test. The author believes that getting prepared prior to a test will help a great deal. So, two little sentences that explain purpose. Okay, as always, it's a good idea to provide some textual support. So if you can, with author's purpose, grab a quote and pop that in. I would say if you could have a quote for author's purpose and then one quote at least for author's point of view, you should be sitting pretty and getting a good grade. So let's talk about how to find some textual support to support your author's purpose idea. So add a quote that supports your explanation on the author's purpose. If you're looking for, if you're looking at something that's the purpose is to entertain, look for descriptions, anything that catches the eye as sad, funny, interesting, that sort of thing. If you're looking at something that's persuasion, look for anything that encourages the reader to act or where the author is taking a stance on the topic. And then finally, if you're looking at anything that's informative, look for anything that the author makes an observation on or point out that they're using only factual information versus opinions, that sort of thing. All right, so the full steps for this part of the proficiency. You're going to identify what the purpose is: to entertain, to persuade, to inform. Remember, easy as pie, so persuade, inform, or entertain. Explain and be specific about how you know what the author's purpose is. And if you can, use textual support in a second sentence or so to round out your author's purpose explanation. If you use a quote, don't forget to give citation. All right, you're finished. Don't forget to fill out the digital whisk and press submit, and I'll see you in class tomorrow. Thanks, guys.